Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pretend to be my twin on her wedding day? I, 30 female, have an identical twin sister, and for the purposes of anonymity, I'll call her Jess. Jess and I look so much alike it can be freaky. At one point when we were still infants, they had to draw a little dot at the bottom of one of our feet, just so they could keep track of who was who for medical reasons. My mom adored the fact that Jess and I were her cute baby twin girls, and treated us as precious dolls who she would frequently dress alike and always make us do things together. At first I didn't mind it at all, because, well, it was normal, and I do genuinely love my sister. But when we started getting older and I developed my own interests, I would get so frustrated or upset when either couldn't do something because Jess didn't want to, or the only way that I could do it was if Jess could come with me and vice versa. It sucked, because despite our appearances, Jess was the more extroverted twin who liked to go to parties and do sports while I was introverted and artistic. I was always made to do what Jess wanted to do, because me not wanting to be so social was seen as bad, and the only way that Jess would agree to do/endure my hobbies was if I did her homework or chores. When my parents were divorcing, I was over the moon when my dad agreed to let me live with him in another state, and Jess didn't want to move away from all her friends. My mom cried when I had to tell her I didn't want to live with her, and Jess accused me of hating them. This really wrecked me emotionally, and I almost caved, but my dad got me into therapy who helped me gather the courage to just leave. I never really did shake off the guilt until around senior year of high school, but I never once regretted my choice because of how liberating I felt by getting to just be me. I was slowly able to repair my relationship with my mom and Jess, but Jess and I were never as close as we used to be, and I was honestly fine with that. Fast forward to adulthood, and Jess is engaged to her boyfriend Steve, 36 male, and their wedding is set for the spring. Unfortunately, Jess was recently in a bad accident, and her face is going to need to get cosmetic surgery. She has been crying on and off for days over this, because there's no way she'll be healed up in time for the wedding. My mom, Steve, and I have been trying to console her, but it's not enough. Then earlier this week, my mom approached me with the idea of dressing up as Jess and pretending to be her for the ceremony and reception, so the pictures will look nice. I was floored and gave a hesitant no, because while I do know that this would mean a lot to my sister, I just feel really uncomfortable about it. My mom was upset with me and said that it wasn't a big deal, it was just for the pictures, and asked me if I really wanted to make it so that Jess would have to be reminded of her trauma whenever she had to look at her wedding photos, or just not have any photos at all. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Okay, because I've already seen this in 2 other comments, I just wanted to be clear about some things. 1. We live in America, and as far as I know, since Jess's surgery is purely for cosmetic purposes, health insurance may not cover it, if any at all. 2. My mom was the only one who actually approached me about this, so I don't know for sure if Jess and Steve know about this idea, and I'm honestly a little hesitant of actually talking to them about this, in case they're on board and start to pressure me into agreeing. Sorry for not clarifying. What my mom is proposing that I do is that I wear Jess's wedding dress and she wears whatever I was going to wear, and then I just stand in for her when it's time to walk down the aisle, do the entrance at the reception, first dance, bouquet toss, and photo time. I wouldn't actually be doing the vows. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but this is a lot to unpack. I think you need to stick to your boundaries. Photoshop can likely touch up any bruising or stitches, etc. for the photos. Honestly, since Jess and Steve are paying for the wedding and saving up for cosmetic surgery costs, I think they may not have the money to pay for professional Photoshop. They can always get them photoshopped later. First off, not the a-hole. Your mother's being ridiculous. Second, why are they not just postponing the wedding? Surely a life-changing accident is a reason to put things on hold. Apparently, their dream venue wouldn't be available again until around 2025. Not to sound rude, but I'd imagine having a corrected face should be more important than a dream location. You'd be surprised. Getting that dream venue while you can is extremely important to a lot of brides. Not Bride Wars level of important, probably. What the heck did I just read? Not the a-hole, and if looking like her old self is that important to her, then the wedding needs to be postponed. Not doing this bad movie plot of an idea. It is a big deal, because I'm pretty sure this level of fraud would actually invalidate the marriage. Not to mention people will know it's you, and those that don't sure as heck are gonna wonder where you are. Point all this out to your mother. Keep saying no, and if she keeps pushing, stop communicating with her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to switch rooms because sister-in-law is pregnant? I, 33 male, live with my wife, 31 female, and my 8-year-old son, Mal. Mal has cerebral palsy and is bound to a wheelchair. Our home is convenient for us because it has 2 stories, but it was left to my wife from her father and we don't have the money to move, so my wife and I and Mal have the downstairs bedrooms due to Mal's cerebral palsy. This past week, my brother and sister-in-law came to stay with us while visiting. Sister-in-law is 7 months pregnant. I had previously discussed that all the guest bedrooms were upstairs, but when sister-in-law asked us where the rooms are, she was shocked and asked if I expected her to walk up all those stairs. I said jokingly, I'd hope so, because that's where your rooms are. My brother got upset and said he thought I had changed the room plan to downstairs because of sister-in-law's condition. I told them no, there was no extra bedrooms downstairs. Then they suggested I swap rooms with them just for a few days. My wife instantly refused. Mal has hearing loss due to his cerebral palsy and takes his hearing aids out at night and can only hear some noises. And we just didn't feel safe. What if someone broke in, God forbid? What if he fell out of bed? So we told them no, we weren't comfortable with that. Sister-in-law got upset and said why would we let them stay there, and that pregnant people really aren't supposed to go upstairs, and that I was overreacting, and that they would still hear if anything happened to Mel. I refused again, and they called us inconsiderate a-holes and just went to stay with my mom. Maybe I'm a worry body, but this is our system, and I did warn my brother beforehand. Since when are pregnant women not to go upstairs? WTF, not the a-hole. I felt the same. My wife lived in our home with her pregnancy with our son and still went upstairs to use the bathroom every time when our downstairs bathroom was being worked on. Please, for the love of all that is good with this world, send both your brother and sister-in-law this. This is legit the dumbest thing I have heard people claim in a while. Not the a-hole. Apparently, generations have died that I don't know about because of mothers going upstairs. Lol. Also a big cause for many marriages ending. Husband decides to take the stairs and has to leave their pregnant wife behind, never to see each other again. Not the a-hole. What is your brother thinking? I was 9 months pregnant with a 9+ pound baby and still went up and down the stairs multiple times a day as we had no bedrooms downstairs. Your son and his safety take precedence. How can he not see this? Please feel free to give him the information for the nearest hotels. Perhaps they'd be more comfortable there. Your brother sounds like a jerk. This cannot possibly be the first time he's pulled something like this. Let me guess. He's younger and was always spoiled/treated like the baby? Haha, he actually is the youngest by 9 years out of 4 kids. So he definitely did get the baby treatment growing up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take either of my parents' last names? I'm turning 18 in a few months, and my parents sat me down to tell me that I should start looking into changing my last name after my birthday. I have a weird situation where my last name doesn't belong to either of my parents. When I was born, my father didn't want to have a daughter have his last name, but he's since changed his mind and apologized, and my mother thought it would look bad or weird to put me under her maiden name, so my great-grandmother gave me her maiden name. They are now divorced and are married to other people and now each want me to pick their name. But I don't want to. My great-grandmother's gone now and I was the only great-grandchild that got to not only meet her, but spend time with her. I like having her name. It feels special. I also feel like I get to have more space socially by having my own name, like I truly have my own identity. My mother says that it's ridiculous for a child to have a different last name than either of their parents, and I shouldn't have to even be asked to do this, that I should be racing to the courthouse to take care of it, and my father agrees. Is it really that weird for me to not? I don't have anything against them or their names. I just like my name and don't want to change it. My entire family's angry at me for using my great-grandmother in my teenage rebellion and acting like I had some special bond with her that the other kids didn't. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. The irony of your parents acting like you're the ridiculous one when they both caused this problem in the first place. Keep the last name you want. Your parents sound ridiculous. Right? They could have legally changed their child's name for 18 years. They lost their chance to have a say. Not the a-hole. The hardest part of having a different last name probably would have been when you were a kid. I cannot see why it would be an issue now. They are being ridiculous. Apparently it was. I don't really remember it, but I also didn't pay attention either. Honestly, I doubt it was really that big of a deal outside of people who are only familiar with traditional American naming customs making comments about it to your parents. I was born and raised in the US, and due to the naming customs in my parents' culture, my siblings and I have one last name, our mom has another, and our dad has yet another. 3 different last names in one nuclear family. Of course, it's possible your family had very different experiences to mine, but not sharing a last name with either of my parents has never posed any issues for me. I asked my mom about it recently, and she said it was never a big deal. They registered us for school, took us to hospitals, traveled internationally with us, etc., and it was always fine. Anyway, you're absolutely not the a-hole. They created this issue by being sexist / enabling sexism, and now they want control over your established identity, to burden you with the administrative hassle of changing your name. And for what? Just for them to save face? It doesn't benefit you at all. You already have a name you're happy with. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you are honoring your great-grandmother, not lashing out with some kind of teenage rebellion. How in the world is it rebellion if all you're doing is keeping the same name? It's not like you're changing it to something ridiculous or offensive. If this was so important to your parents, why didn't they arrange to change your name a long time ago? Waiting for you to turn 18 means they have waited for you to become an adult. Since you're an adult, it's entirely your choice what name you want to live with. They wanted to during the divorce, but the judge said no. Last story. Am I the a-hole for staying in contact with my son's ex-wife and her daughter after their divorce? My son Henry divorced his wife Rachel a year ago. Their divorce wasn't exactly messy, but it wasn't easy either. I stayed in contact with Rachel for my granddaughter's sake. My granddaughter is 9 years old, and Rachel also has another daughter, Amy, who is 3 years older than my granddaughter and not my son's child. She was from a past relationship Rachel had. Now, the thing is, Amy grew up calling me grandma for pretty much her whole life. I treated her exactly the same as I did my biological granddaughter. I would always take candy for both of them, give them both a little bit of pocket money. I hugged and loved and still love Amy as much as I do my granddaughter. As far as I'm aware, she's my second granddaughter. When my son and his wife divorced, I stayed in contact with his now ex-wife to contact my granddaughter, and Amy has her own mobile phone. I also have her phone number and stay in contact with her occasionally. She still calls me grandma as well. I didn't think this would be a problem. However, last week when it was Amy's birthday, I gave Rachel some money to buy her a present from me. She was thankful, bought her a gift, wrapped it, and sent me a picture of her opening it. Later that day, my son came around to visit me and my phone rang. It was Amy calling to say thank you for her birthday present. My son told me he found it inappropriate for me to be talking to his ex-wife and her daughter when she's not my granddaughter. He said I have absolutely no reason to be in contact with either of them, as I see my biological granddaughter regularly, and that she's the only one who is family. So his ex-wife and Amy, who are no longer family, have no reason for me to be in contact with them. I disagree, as I only speak to Rachel about my granddaughter and I speak to Amy. As for the last 10 years, I've been treating her exactly the same as my biological granddaughter. I feel it would be unfair now to no longer have contact with her after so long. Am I the a-hole for staying in contact with them both? I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I never discuss my son with either of them. I just simply check in and see how they are. Not the a-hole. He has been in a girl's life for 10 years, and he's not staying in touch, and doesn't seem to care or worry about her. That should be the issue here. Be careful. He doesn't decide to not let you see your other granddaughter just because he doesn't agree with you. I'm willing to bet Rachel would let OP see both kids when they're with her. Dad has no say in that. Exactly. It's good he can't try to leverage OP seeing his daughter to try to get his way. And it's insane that he expects OP to just drop that relationship with Amy, as if 9 years of being her grandmother magically just disappear because Rachel and Henry are no longer married. I see why they got divorced now. Not the a-hole. This reminds me of the "you divorce wives, not kids" line from Clueless. Not the a-hole. That's exactly the line that popped into my head when I finished reading this. Heck, my daughter's great-grandmother sends me, my new husband, and our son Christmas cards and birthday cards/gifts, and my ex-husband doesn't see a problem with this at all. Blended families are difficult to navigate, but OP, you're doing it right. Amy's your granddaughter, just as much as a 9-year-old is. What's devastating is that, if Amy was in your life for that long, then she considered your son a dad too. And it sounds like he's abandoning an important relationship. He needs to do better. My fiance's ex-stepdad still stick around. It helps my fiance and his siblings out with stuff. They aren't biologically his, but he divorced their mom, not them. Especially the youngest whom he raised from birth. Not the a-hole. You are doing grandparenting right. A relationship breakdown between parents doesn't need to splinter the entire family. With a 9-year-old granddaughter, I am guessing that you have been a grandmother to Amy for 10 years. That's a whole lot of time to form a bond that goes beyond a casual relationship. Your son is being selfish, thinking that his anger towards his ex is more important than your love for the children. He cannot tell you to change your priorities. I understand that your son is hurting, but you are only demonstrating love for the kids. Update. I'm leaving my husband tomorrow. Original post. Our marriage, me 29 female and Jack 30 male, was short. Only less than a year, but rocky from the start. I didn't even know what possessed me to say yes. Maybe loneliness? Maybe desperation. I don't know. He and his family are openly hostile to my only brother, 18, as I had to take care of him after our parents died. They saw him as unnecessary, and only after marriage I saw how horribly Jack treated him. For your information, my brother lives in our apartment since he wasn't old enough to have his own place. Jack, I'm almost ashamed to say, is not a very good man. He's lazy and never does any house chores, and brother does everything Jack should have done. He plays on his computer all day and goes out to drink with his buddies almost daily. He never hits me or my brother, but he does treat us like his caretakers. I'm honestly getting sick of it. My last straw was when Jack insisted that I give him the inheritance money my brother was set to get for college. I refused. Money has always been a sore spot to him, as admittedly I earn 4 times than he does. And I even keep our finances separate thanks to a lawyer uncle's advice. I fired back saying how he should stop doing freelance work that pays him dirt, and not snooping around mine and my brother's business. We fought, and in the middle of that fight he left, leaving his phone behind. I don't know what caused me to poke around his phone. And guess what? Not only he's a lazy piece of work who doesn't even have a stable job to pursue a passion I don't even understand, he's also a cheating bastard. I was heartbroken. I cried myself to sleep. Then I called my lawyer uncle to serve him the divorce paperwork. Jack doesn't know I know about his side piece. He still treats my brother like a nuisance and demands me to hand over our inheritance to him. I keep my silence, as does my brother. He's going to a weekend outing with his buddies tomorrow, and I will pack up my things and leave. Divorce papers on the table. I cut the lease to our apartment, and he'd only have the next week to figure out where he'd go. I got a place across town, closer to my relatives. I'll take care of the rest as I go. I deeply regret marrying this man. He's wasted 2 years of my life, and I'm so angry with myself that I was too blind to see how I should never have married him. Tomorrow, I'm leaving him, and I don't care if I seem like I would not fight for my marriage. I don't have the energy to deal with a grown man who still thinks like a frat boy. Now for the top comments before the updates. Good luck. Listen to your lawyer. All communication should be through them. Thanks. I've blocked his social but not his number. Yet. He'll have to call my uncle for that. Be careful not to let this guy know where you live. Don't text or even take his calls. This all goes through your uncle now. No matter how much you think you know someone, it can become dangerous if your ex goes off the deep end. Best of luck to you and brother. Now get on with a fabulous life. I'm planning to get those 2 cats Jack refused to have, and I'll get on being a fabulous wine cat mom, since we don't have a kid yet. Just knowing I'd be away from him brings me a huge relief. It wasn't a waste, as you learned what you married into. You dodged a bullet by not having a child with him yet. Now you can refresh with the knowledge of red flags. Also, you should apologize to your brother, and the 2 of you go out for dinner and ice cream as loving siblings. Please be safe. I'm worried this animal will be violent when you tell him you're gonna leave or after he finds out. Maybe violent towards you or your brother, plus you said he gets drunk often. I'm not saying call the cops on him for no reason, but be careful. Hopefully he doesn't know the place you're moving into. I would leave without saying a word. Let the divorce papers do the talking. He never hits me because he knows I would at least slap him back. But yes, thank you for the advice. I will be keeping an eye on any of his insanity should it occurs. I'm mostly worried he'd harass my grandparents, to be honest, but right now they're on a cruise, so they're safe. Now for the first update. It's been a busy weekend. I barely even had a time to open my phone. Over the weekend, I moved out with the help of my 2 best friends, my cousin and my uncle. They were very helpful, and in a day we finished packing up everything and left the apartment. I am now living closer to my uncle, my mom's little brother, and his family while my brother is waiting to move into his dorms. My uncle helped me installing the cameras outside of our new place. Thank you everyone for the advice. Changed my passwords, PIN numbers, and phone number while we're at it. I took a week off work and thankfully my boss understood and let me. I wish I could see his face when he came back to the apartment and found the place empty. Some of my friends were called but they told Jack they didn't know where I went as I haven't told anyone but my uncle and best friends. Jack came to my uncle's place, but my uncle kicked him out of his property. And while Jack threatened to go all out and contest the divorce, my uncle gave him an ultimatum in return. Sign it without a fuss or I'll try to get alimony from him. Hopefully Jack won't make a hassle out of the divorce proceedings. As for myself, I'm just happy to be away from him, even with no alimony or divorce settlement. From this point onward, I will have no contact with him or people associated with him. It seems cowardly, but I'd rather avoid a drama. I believe we'll have some kind of drama later, but honestly, as long as he signs that divorce paper, I'm fine with that. I finally talked to my brother and apologized for getting him into such an environment. He was understandably disappointed with me, but he forgave me. He said he was glad that I decided to leave. We had a good crying session over that. Right now, I'm trying to make it up to him. He's a good kid, a smart and tough cookie, and he deserves better. Should he need to, we'll go to therapy together. He convinced me he was okay, and he was mostly angry on my behalf, but I'll keep an eye on that. I haven't adopted the cats yet because my place is still messy and we're not done unpacking. So unfortunately, no cat tax for now. Thank you everyone for cheering me on, giving me lots of virtual hugs and checking up on me. I didn't expect for this much support, and your kindness makes everything feels bearable. A lot of you have given me a sound advice about health tests, security and everything else, which I am very, very grateful for. Some of them I did not even consider. This sounds so cliche and simple, but thank you so much. I hope you all have a great day. Edit to add? We're not from the US, but our laws regarding marriage and divorce is pretty clean cut. I don't think you'd get any money from me. Congratulations starting the next chapter of your life. I know no matter how awful he was, this wasn't easy, but I'm so glad to hear that you have the support network you need around you. Good luck, and I think there are a couple lucky cats want to have a wonderful home soon. Thank you. It was very overwhelming when I read all the comments in my post. I wanted to rant a bit, and this was the only place I thought was safer, but it turned out a lot of people were very supportive, even sent me messages out of concern. I don't even care if he found me here. I'm away from him now. I'll be visiting the shelter as soon as I get my apartment in order. I'm so happy and relieved for you. Can't wait till you get the cats and start your new life as a cat mom. Thank you. I was so overwhelmed yesterday, but now I'm more settled. I know it won't be easy shaking him off, but I personally think he won't make too much of a fuss. I can't wait to go to the shelter and get a cat or two. But first, let me clean up my new place because we unpacked in a hurry. I only just found your first post about 10 minutes ago. Wild that you've just posted an update as well. I don't even know you, but I'm so proud of you. My heart was in my chest reading both posts. You're an amazing sister and you've done so much for your brother. This blip will amount to nothing when he is a grown man. But that is only because you did the right thing and got him out of there. As for your now ex-husband, I think you very narrowly dodged a deadly bullet. I agree, now in hindsight. I remember some stuff that should have been a big waving red flag, that maybe I was too ignorant to pay attention to. I felt a little dumb, but at least now I can take a step to fix it. Now for the last update. I don't know. I feel like I owe people some updates, so here I am, on the process of my divorce. He made some fuss, but otherwise agreeable to the terms I set. At least he doesn't harass me or my family anymore. As for his family, some made comments on social media, but my friends were quick to shut them down. I blocked them though. He got a car that I paid for. I'm kind of miffed, but that's okay, as long as I don't have to look at his face ever again. I felt kinda down and sorry for myself, and I blamed myself a little bit. I'm going to try to get better mentally because the guilt was pretty strong. My brother is doing good. More carefree now that he doesn't have to watch himself. I'm so proud of him. A little ashamed of myself, but overall the both of us are doing way better. And we bond better now. And also, I found a cat. Well, he found me. I was throwing out garbage and he came up to me, followed me to the apartment, and made himself at home on top of my unpacked boxes. I think he's a stray, a year old at most. And I took the photo in a rush because I had to go to work today. Gonna take him to the vet, get him vaccinated, and everything else. Also buy proper food because I only bought small packets of kibble and wet food earlier. Thank you everyone for showing your concerns and support. I guess I won't be making more updates unless something happens. I hope you all have a nice day. I want to add some advice. Some people that were in toxic relationships have a tendency to have their next partners be just as bad. Please consider therapy to help analyze to keep you from having a similar partner in the future. I wish you and your brother the best of luck moving forward. Next story. Am I the a-hole for returning home after I found out that my husband booked first class for him and his friend while I got economy? My husband and I 30s haven't been on a trip out of country for years while he goes every year with his best friend. His reasons for going with him is because they both go to attend sporting events. This year, my husband told me I could go with him and his friend since they were visiting a new destination. He paid for my ticket and everything else since I'm a stay-at-home mom and have no job. The kids were left with my mom. However, when I found out that he had booked first class for himself and his friend while I got economy, I just couldn't hold my tongue. I confronted him about it and he at first refused to discuss it. Then when the argument got heated, he yelled, "I paid for your ticket for Pete's sake. Isn't that enough?" Then kept on about how I should stop acting like I was royalty, and that if I come to think about it, even economy is fine for me since I technically don't work anyway. I cried because of what he said, but decided to just not go altogether. He changed his tone and started begging me to just go with what he planned, but I declined. I went to pick the kids from my mom's house and he came back 3 hours later huffing and puffing about what happened. His friend sent me a text calling me entitled and said this was the reason why he didn't want my husband to take me with them, and I just proved his point. I did not respond, but I blocked him since he's gotten increasingly rude over the past few months. He, my husband, said I keep crying about being excluded, and this is what happens when he finally decides to include me? Am I the a-hole for not settling for economy? By the way, he's perfectly capable of financing the trip. Now for the top comments. If you're a stay-at-home mom, then all the money he earns is shared funds. There was no him paying. In fact, you paid for his first-class ticket as much as he paid for your economy ticket. The level of disrespect is astounding. Divorce him and get half plus alimony, not the a-hole. I hate to jump on the divorce wagon, but in this case, it's so obvious how much he doesn't care or even respect OP. Not the a-hole times 1 million. I'm not sure why he even married OP. It seems like he's already in a long-term relationship with his friend. It was my very first thought. Why does he want to have alone trips every year with his friend? And why would he seat his own wife in a totally different class than himself? So she can't be around them? I almost have a feeling he would make her stay in her own room too while he shared one with his friend. Is your husband having an affair with his friend? Why is his friend so rude to you? And why is friend being treated like the spouse in this situation? Whether or not he's having an affair, he's definitely shown you how he feels about you. Not the a-hole. This. Maybe you should reevaluate your marriage. Maybe when they are on the trip, talk to a lawyer, get a divorce, and change the locks. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my girlfriend for baking a dessert for a dinner party? I, 26 male, have been dating my girlfriend Rosie, 23 female, for a year now. Rosie and my mother did not get along. It's just about the fact that their personality differences are so large. My mom is a more conservative and reserved person, and Rosie is the opposite of that. My mom is a really picky person and has never been happy with anyone I date over the years. But I usually ignore her because it's not her life. Yes, I always shut down my mother's snarky comments about anyone I date. On to the problem. Tomorrow night, my mother is hosting a dinner party for everyone in our family. I'm not sure about other families/cultures, but usually when we throw dinner parties, everyone will bring something. I thought this was the perfect time for Rosie and my mom to get along better. I told Rosie that she should home-make something. I also made something. My mother hates anything sweet, so I told Rosie to refrain from baking any desserts. Rosie said she wanted to bake something because it's what she does best when it comes to the kitchen. I just told her to look up a recipe on Google. She was quiet, and about an hour later I came downstairs because I could smell something sweet, and I found Rosie piping macaron batter. I freaked out. I started yelling about how I told her to specifically not make anything sweet, because this was her one chance to get on my mother's good side, and I feel like she only made a dessert to be petty. She got upset and told me to not raise my voice at her, and that she was not doing it to be petty. She just doesn't care what my mother thinks of her and that my mother's not the only guest at the dinner party. I got frustrated and made a mistake of telling her to stay home instead. And she told me that she would and that she now would not go no matter what, even if I changed my mind. I regret telling her that because if she doesn't go, my mother will really not like her. But am I the a-hole for telling her not to bake something sweet? Edit. I made a lasagna for the party. I keep seeing that question, so I thought I would put it here. And yes, it is homemade. You're the a-hole. You yelled at her for baking, dude. WTF. Your mom has never liked a single person you've dated. And you think Rosie choosing to make a dessert instead of a savory dish is going to make the slightest bit of difference? It won't. Rosie can't win with your mom. So she might as well make something she can do well that others will enjoy, than contribute some half-assed thing that she's not confident about. You owe her a massive apology. Also, don't freak out about small items and say things you don't mean. It is very immature, and a great way to drive away your significant other and your friends. One of the lessons my mom taught me I have always tried to follow. Never say anything in anger you can't take back. You're the a-hole. Your girlfriend is right. There are other people at a party. She doesn't need to cater to your mother solely. Also, why is it such a big deal that your mom doesn't like sweet foods? There's plenty of other food there, I'm sure, so she can eat something that your girlfriend didn't make. The awful cherry on top of this story is that you yelled at your girlfriend about a really stupid point. You're playing into your mother's pettiness, and I feel bad for your—
Am I the a-hole for exposing family secrets? I, 15 male, have an uncle who loves to prank and joke. Even if you tell him to stop, he never stops. This Christmas, I was over there and all of a sudden, everyone was giving me dirty looks and icy glares. Apparently, my uncle joked that I had stolen $200 from his wallet, which is a lie. I didn't do it, and my parents dealt with it and confirmed it was a joke. A lot of people apologized to me, but some people didn't believe them. But it all came crashing down after dinner. My uncle was just joking around and roasting people even though everyone told him to stop. Then he saw me and said, "At least I don't look like a deformed gorilla." I snapped back, "At least I didn't have an affair." Context: my uncle had a 5-month affair with someone and my family covered it up on our family group chat and never told my aunt to keep the peace. Everyone looked shocked, and my aunt told me to give her proof. So I gave her the messages, and she left. She's now not talking to anyone. Now everyone says I took it too far and that he was just kidding around. Some relatives are considering cutting me off, while others are giving me the silent treatment. My parents are 100% siding with me and have been defending me. But now I'm wondering, am I the bad guy for exposing family secrets? Now for the top comments. Typically, taking the high road is always the best option. But your uncle's joke was to accuse you of stealing $200. That is not a joke, nor roasting. It disparages your character. I do think you went too far, but I understand why you did it. You just want him to stop, and nothing is working. And he did a crime. It was not a false accusation. Your poor aunt, living with that uncle of yours, he could have given her a disease. You may have saved her health. It's so sad that some of your family supports his ridiculous behavior. Uncle sounds like he has a personality disorder. Not the a-hole in the end. Best of luck. I try to steer clear of him. Not the a-hole. Uncle should have kept his mouth shut after the rest of the family told him to. Also, the family isn't any better. Uncle cheated on his wife, and the rest of the family knew and decided to keep the whole thing quiet? That is a whole family of a-holes. And why OP is getting flack from them for telling? Not the a-hole OP. Remember who does what here. You'll know who to trust and who not to. Well, they're all giving him crap because he has proven to his aunt that those people all decided to lie and conspired against her to keep his dirty little skeleton in the closet. They're mad because in one sentence, they all became the jerks. You push at people enough and you get what you get. Don't start trouble, won't be none. Not the a-hole. If someone had come back at him years ago, your uncle might not be the a-hole. He is. Yep, keep pushing and pushing. Don't be surprised when someone pushes back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my brother's stepkids to my son's birthday? I, female 37, have a younger brother, John, male 35. Last year, he went through a brutal breakup. found out his fiancée was cheating, and had to cancel the wedding a week before. He was heartbroken and lost a ton of money. A few months later, he met Hannah, female 34, who's a mom for my kids' soccer team. My husband and I have 2 kids, and she has 3. Her oldest 2 are the same age as mine, plus she has a younger one. In October, John came to one of my kids' soccer events and they met. I didn't even introduce them. Fast forward a few weeks, and Hannah tells John she's pregnant. He was shocked, but got happy, and promised to be there for her and her kids. Now, they're all living with him. For Christmas dinner, my parents invited Hannah and her kids. She showed up with matching pajamas for all the kids, mine and hers, that said Cousin Crew. It felt weird because our kids don't even talk at soccer. She kept calling me her sister and later posted pics on Instagram with the caption, Cousin Crew, new tradition, year 1. We figured she was just trying to fit in, but honestly, it felt super rushed. We don't even know her. Now here's where I might be the a-hole. My son's 10th birthday is this Saturday. He only wanted to invite his school friends for a video game and pizza party. Hannah's kids go to a different school. Yesterday, Hannah texted asking what my son likes. I told her she didn't need to get him anything, but that he loves Lego Star Wars. Then she asked what time the party starts. I told her, oh, no adults this year, and mentioned we'd be at my parents' on Sunday with a cake for family. She replied, saying she'd drop off all her kids at the party. I told her, sorry, but my son only invited his school friends this year. She said, come on, cousins are always invited. I told her, but I never invited them. Why would you think they are? She didn't reply. An hour later, John called me, yelling that I'm cruel because Hannah's pregnant, trying so hard to fit in and I didn't include her kids. I explained the situation again, but he said I'm a giant a-hole. I need to teach my son empathy by including family. So do I just suck it up and invite her kids? Am I the a-hole? No, you've done right by your son. He invited who he wants. His party doesn't need to include strangers to appease your brother. Her being pregnant is irrelevant. Her trying hard to fit in is obvious, but also irrelevant. Her kids will be present for the family event. That's enough inclusion already. Not the a-hole. I think he was saying they were planning to have a lone/date night while kids at a birthday party. She's pregnant and deserves this is what John meant. My uncle married a woman with young kids when my siblings and I were adults. In the beginning, his new wife tried that cousins thing exactly once, and we all just gave her stone-faced looks. There's nothing wrong with becoming a blended family as you go along, but this girlfriend seems to really be pushing it. In October, John came to one of my kids' soccer events, and they met. I didn't even introduce them. Fast forward a few weeks, and Hannah tells John she's pregnant. This math ain't mathing. And John swears he used protection. My parents questioned and John got furious. My parents were afraid of losing John, so they stopped questioning. John is old enough to make his own life choices, but you don't need to be included in them now. Now for the update. John called my mom to complain about the situation. She told him it wasn't a big deal since even the birthday boy's sister wasn't invited and was just coming over to watch a movie with her during the party. We will all have a little party and cake at our place on Sunday anyway. That made John even angrier because he thought Hannah's kids should have been invited to my mom's place to hang out with my daughter too. He lost it and said we were excluding Hannah from everything. My mom tried to explain it wasn't like that and that she was just hanging out with my daughter. Now John and Hannah have blocked us everywhere. I'm honestly heartbroken because I feel like this is going to end badly. I just hope he reaches out when he's ready. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad it hurt my feelings that he is a better dad now that he's a stepdad and wouldn't do it for me? My parents got divorced when I, 17 male, was 7. My dad was never the best dad or the worst dad. He wasn't a monster or neglectful, but he never made time for me. When he wasn't working, he'd be doing chores and stuff at home, and he mostly left me to do whatever I wanted. If I asked him to hang out with me, he'd say later, and later never came. Or he was too busy and said maybe another time, but the other time never came. He encouraged me to do as many extracurriculars as I wanted, and he hired a babysitter to take me to and from those after school. He went to parent-teacher conferences with my mom, but I don't remember him being at very many school plays or sport games. The few times he showed up, he'd be gone before it was over and wouldn't mention it. And sometimes he'd be so distracted, he'd ignore questions I ask. It always made me sad, and I asked him to spend time together pretty often. When I found out he was dating someone, it was a surprise. But then it hurt me again because I found out he was spending time with her and her kids and bonding with them. He did eventually include me in that for a few months before they moved in together, but I was pretty devastated, not gonna lie. I saw him be such a different person, and since they got married, he's become a way better dad. But it started with them, and it hurts and makes me angry too. I don't want them to have better than me. I hate that they get better from my own dad than I did until they came along. He's taken more of an interest in me, but I pulled away, and I rejected a lot of his attempts. He takes us all out to do stuff, and when I see how much time is spent with them and the bond he built with them, it makes me want to tell them all to go buzz off. His wife has called me out for not being warmer to her kids and for not trying to get to know them like they've tried to get to know me. My dad has set up a rotation for different things with different kids, and I'm included in it. But it doesn't feel like enough when I have to watch him include them when they got this stuff before me. He sat me down a few weeks ago and told me he felt like I was unhappy and wanted us to talk. He said his wife told him that when I'm here, I don't interact with her or the kids, and that I come across as being angry at her kids. A few times, I walked away, but it looked like I was going to be mean. He asked me what was up, and I told him exactly how I felt. I told him it hurts me to see him be this great dad because he met them and became a stepdad, but would it do it for me? I told him it ticked me off so badly. I told him where was that dad for me? And why did he give them the dad he is now first? Why them? Why not his own kid? I told him they're not his real kids. They're not the kid who wanted so badly for him to spend time with him. I am. I told him I deserved it, not them. They were just his wife's kids. I pointed out how often I tried to spend time with him before he met her, and how he'd brush me off, or how little he showed up and took an interest. I asked him how I was meant to be happy he was trying now when they got it first, when they started it, not me. I told him I couldn't be glad for them. He told me he was sorry and he started to get upset. He said he didn't really reflect like he should have on his feelings and that he heard everything I said. He said he was so sorry he wasn't better and all this stuff. He told me he wanted the chance to make it up to me, but he couldn't just ignore them now either. And to do better for real, he needed to give me a one-on-one time, but he also needed to still keep spending time with them. He asked me if I was okay with it. I said no. I told him I wanted him to ignore them and only care about me, but I know that's not fair. It just doesn't seem fair that they got this better version first. I told him it kills me to see it. We talked some more and we agreed it would be better if I live with mom and it takes time with me, and he's doing that. But after Christmas, his wife reached out and she told me she heard everything I said and how unfair it was to punish her kids with what I said when they're not responsible. She said it made my dad feel so guilty too, and how that wasn't fair when I should just enjoy the fact he's doing better. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are super valid here. It's rough seeing your dad level up for someone else's kids and feeling like you missed out on that version of him growing up. It's okay to feel hurt, but maybe consider this a chance to build something new with him, even if it started rocky. Keep your head up. You're navigating tough emotional waters, and that takes strength. We're working on it. He's trying, and I'm glad. I just can't watch him with them and have us make progress. That's why we have the new agreement. Could you ask your dad to do family therapy, just the two of you? It could help you both process and move on from the past, as well as deal with any roadblocks moving forward as you try to build something new. It can help to have an unbiased person helping to navigate the situation. They can also help your dad with addressing the situation with his new wife and kids. I'd rather wait a while before doing that, but it's something I can bring up later. I just want to see what he can do without therapy first. Not the a-hole, but his wife is a total a-hole for calling you to complain about a conversation that she had no place in and trying to guilt you into being a sibling to her children. Right? Like, way to kiss goodbye to any progress that was made, lady. What is with the steps on here, reaching out to these kids behind the bio parents' backs, against their wishes, and meddling in a situation that was properly being addressed? Ugh, the rage. OP is not the a-hole. Yep. Instead of interfering, she should be supporting her husband's efforts to repair his relationship with his son. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my sister's kids for free anymore? I, 29 female, have been babysitting my sister Lily's 35 female kids, Ben 8 male and Ella 5 female, for years. Lily's a single mom, and I love my niece and nephew dearly. I've always been happy to help out, especially since Lily has a demanding job and often needs someone to watch the kids in the evenings or on the weekends. However, recently, it started to feel like I'm being taken for granted. What started as occasional evening has turned into me watching the kids 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes for entire weekends. Lily doesn't even ask anymore. He just tells me, "You're free Friday night, right?" Or, "I'm dropping the kids off in an hour." I work full-time, and I have my own life and responsibilities. Babysitting this often has started to take a toll on me, both mentally and socially. I've had to cancel plans with friends multiple times because Lily needed me. She never offers to pay me, even for long stretches. And while I don't expect to profit from helping family, it would be nice to feel appreciated. Last week, Lily asked me to watch the kids for an entire weekend because she wanted to go on a trip with her friends. I told her I couldn't, as I already had plans. She got upset and said I was being selfish, claiming I don't understand how hard it is to be a single mom. At that point, I calmly told her that I love her and the kids, but I can't keep babysitting for free whenever she wants. I suggested she look into hiring a sitter or finding a daycare service for the times I'm unavailable. She flipped out, calling me ungrateful and saying family should help each other without expecting anything in return. Now, some of our relatives are weighing in. A few agree with me, but others think I'm being unreasonable and that I should just suck it up since I don't have kids of my own. I feel bad because I know Lily's struggling, but I also feel like I'm being used. Am I the a-hole? She flipped out, calling me ungrateful and saying family should help each other without expecting anything in return. So, what exactly would you be ungrateful for? I mean, what help have you been getting from her or other family? Has she been giving you massive amounts of assistance in other areas of your life or other members of your family? As you described things, this seems pretty one-sided. But if there is some other half of this that you aren't talking about, you could also Uno reverse and ask her to babysit her own kids this weekend as you have plans. If she balks, you could talk about family helping each other out, not the a-hole. It amazes me how the excuse is, since you don't have kids of your own, yet people expect these kids to be watched, sacrificed for, and cared for like the free babysitter birthed them. Not the a-hole. Lily is a user and is trying to emotionally manipulate you. She has a good deal, free babysitting anytime she wants so she can have her demanding job and a social life. That just isn't the case for most single moms. It is completely unreasonable for her to believe she can schedule something that requires you to babysit without talking to you first and getting your agreement, especially for entire weekends. As for your relatives that she has enlisted to gang up on you, they are enabling her selfish behavior and participating in her emotional abuse of you to get her way. Tell those suckers that if they believe Lily needs support, then by all means they can step up and help provide that. But it is none of their business how, when, or if you choose to support your sister in any particular way. Their argument that you don't have kids, so you should do this, is one of the dumbest ones I have ever heard. It's not the first time I have heard it, but it's still one of the dumbest ones. The fact is that a parent with similarly aged kids is better equipped to watch kids for a prolonged period of time, and parents who have older kids are probably next in line. The only thing you have is maybe more time because you aren't juggling multiple people's schedules, and that you love the kids. It's not fair of her to take that time from you. I doubt she plans on doing the same for you when/if you have kids. If you have chosen not to have kids, it's also unfair to force her kids on you.
Am I the a-hole for dropping my uncle's affair partner's name at dinner after he tried to shame me? I'm female 20. My uncle, my father's brother, is 37. I remember when I was a kid, he used to bring a different girl every time he visited us. Not that often, I'll admit, until he suddenly stopped visiting a few years. I was a teenager at the time, so I had no idea what was going on with him until he came home for my dad's birthday. Dad didn't like it, but he let him in. That night, my dad explained that my uncle was a serial cheater and had stopped coming over after I called him out on his behavior, and he didn't like it. But this time he seemed to have changed, but will not be involved in my uncle's business again. Well, my uncle got married and made a happy home with his new wife. Until last year when my uncle invited me to watch a movie in the theater. But he wasn't alone. He had a girl with him who wasn't his wife, who we'll call Macy. I was too afraid to ask about it, but he talked to me alone and told me not to tell anyone about her. Except that I told my father. He was disappointed, but told me to mind my own business and that he no longer cared what my uncle did. So on Easter, we had dinner with my family. I brought my boyfriend, male 20. We have been dating for a few months. One thing you should know is that I've dated a girl before. My uncle knows this and makes jokes about it at my expense. He came to dinner with his wife, and during the night he made fun of me. At one point he looked at my boyfriend and said to him, "You need to ask her for a group activity before she does one without you, mate." I was shocked, and everyone at the table went silent. Even my grandma, who always made snide comments about everything, didn't know what to say. I was embarrassed and annoyed, so I said, "So uncle, how's Macy?" His wife asked, "Who's Macy?" He tried to say, "Nobody, I don't know." But I replied, "But we went to the movies together last year. She looked nice." His wife looked at me like if looks could kill, and she said we're leaving, and they just left like that. Later, my uncle texted me about how immature that was. It was none of my business to get involved. And now he had to factory reset his phone because his wife will not stop asking to see his phone unlocked, and is still bothering him about it. He also found my boyfriend's Instagram and DM'd him, "Dude, control your bitch." I'm pretty offended. He never insulted me before. My father told me that I should have minded my own business because he would never learn, and what I did would not teach him anything. My boyfriend, however, has done nothing but praise me for my pettiness. I'm kinda regretting it because seems like I launched a nuke and I wasn't ready for the fallout. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. That was an awesome move. Next time, uncle should learn how to keep his mouth shut. If his wife asks you about Macy, don't lie. Also, I would like to add that when he brought the affair partner around, he made it OP's business. What kind of a-hole does that? Oh right, one that cheats on his partners. Why the heck would he take you somewhere with his affair partner? He's too stupid to get away with it. If his wife didn't find out like this, I'm sure she would have found out some other way. Not the a-hole. My dad literally took me to McDonald's to meet this woman he was cheating on my mom with. Cheaters are dumb. When my mom got home, I told her right away. My dad took my little brother to help clean the apartment he was moving into, without my mom's knowledge. My brother told our mom literally as soon as they walked in the door at home. Lol. Not the a-hole. You never owe a cheater loyalty. He cheated in front of you, likely used you as a cover, and had the indecency to shame you in front of your partner and family. Honestly, he deserves anything he gets. Not to mention messaging her boyfriend and calling her the B-word. This is not how you treat family. He's a prick, not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my half-sister's lies about our childhood? I, 24 female, have a half-sister, 27 female. We'll call her Taylor. My dad had weekend visitation with Taylor at our house until I was 8, and it was the worst. She bullied me really badly anytime I saw her, to the point that I would scream every time my dad even mentioned her coming over. Even if we were kept apart, she would break my things, upset my pets, and tell lies about me. Every week, her mom would end up in the kitchen screaming at my parents. Taylor's mom died when I was 11. Her mom didn't have any family able to take her in, and neither did my dad. My dad was the only one who could get custody. When I was told about this, I freaked out. Screaming, crying for hours, calling my grandparents and demanding to live with them. All of it. My mom wasn't willing to have Taylor in the house on that basis. And I'm pretty sure she said she would move out if my dad pushed the issue. Taylor ended up being sent to boarding school the next year, and she would go stay with the other members of my dad's family during breaks. When I was 14, my parents divorced and I would see Taylor every few months at my dad's during school breaks. I'd learned to stand up for myself, and she'd grown up, so there was no more bullying, though we'd bicker. She was hostile and I never backed down. I didn't see her much after she went to college, and then I went to college far away as well. We now live in the same small city. I moved here in March. It's the kind of place where everyone from each generation knows of each other. I've never encountered Taylor socially and never mentioned knowing her. But I had met her boyfriend, and his friends are part of my larger social group. The other night I was at a party, and Taylor and her boyfriend were there as well. We made eye contact and waved, but she pretty much avoided me all night. During the night, our mutual friends asked how I know Taylor, and I said we are half-sisters. They all looked super uncomfortable, so I pressed for an explanation. Basically, Taylor's been telling everyone that she was homeless as a kid because her stepmother and half-sister hated her and demanded she be shipped off to boarding school and made her dad ignore her. Were it not for the fact that it was obviously going to come out sooner or later that we are related, I probably wouldn't have bothered to set the record straight. As it was, I'm going to be around these people for a long time, and I didn't feel I should have had to walk around burdened by the weight of her lies. So I told the group the context. She called me yesterday to yell at me. Apparently, she's being ostracized from the group. Her relationship is in trouble, her career opportunities are in jeopardy, etc. I don't see how any of this is my fault, because she's the one who lied. But according to some people, I should have been a bit gentler in my retelling of the facts, because it's her experience, and I've basically blackballed her. Edit? I didn't have space for this, but just to clarify what I actually said to my friends. I explained that the reason my mom didn't want Taylor to live with us was because of the bullying, and that when they split, my dad still didn't have Taylor live with him, and that I only stayed with him on weekends. But Taylor told them I moved in with my dad so that she couldn't. I also told them it wasn't true that I told my dad not to finance Taylor's business when she was 20, because I didn't. That was pretty much the gist of it. My mom didn't say to send her to boarding school. What my mom said was, Taylor is not living in this house with my daughter. If that means we split, then we split. My dad didn't want to be a full-time parent by himself, so he stayed with my mom. And since he didn't have any other family Taylor could live with for various reasons, he sent her to boarding school. My dad never cut contact with Taylor. He visited her at school that was about an hour away, and sometimes he'd see her at other relatives' places during school breaks. When he moved out, Taylor would occasionally spend a day, and maybe one break a year at his place. Everyone sucks here. Her account of being homeless because her stepsister and stepmother hated her and wouldn't allow her in their home was essentially the truth. The adults in that situation should have done much more to create a better situation for you both. You didn't deserve to be bullied or terrorized in your own home, but she was young, clearly had awful parenting, and she needed more too. Realizing you didn't look great according to Taylor's account, I definitely think you handled it poorly. You moved to her city, joined up with her friend group, and when telling your side of the story en masse, you should have been more gentle and even perhaps more neutral, acknowledging you were both children when all this went down. Honestly, despite sounding like a bit of a craphead as a kid, I really feel bad for Taylor, because she was by all accounts abandoned by her family, and is now on the outs from a large friend group. The dad should have left Opie's mother the moment she made him choose between his daughters. That way, he could have the girls in separate times and work on helping Taylor the way she needed, but he chose the easy way out. Opie's mom did the right thing by protecting her daughter. Not the a-hole. For someone to entirely reverse their decision about a person based on the story of a stranger they've just met, that's a big deal. It feels like it wasn't actually a surprise. For it to have had as big an impact as to upset work opportunities over hearsay. She's probably been tending to a garden of red flags for a while. Her sister was that one friend that no one really likes, but pities too much to end a friendship. Opie just enabled the friends to get over their pity, and they no longer had any reason to maintain a friendship. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not pushing my family to include my fiancé in Christmas card photos? I, 37 male, am engaged to my fiancé, 31 female, planning on getting married at the end of this year. My The family takes a Christmas card photo every year, usually around big events like graduations or parties when everyone is together, which isn't often. Years ago, my mom instituted a not until you married policy to include significant others in photos and applied that rule to my brother when he was dating and engaged to his now wife. My fiancé has had significant issues with this. Last year, when the family took photos shortly after she and I were engaged, she directed many snide comments to me about how excluded she feels. This year, she flatly refused to drive with me to a family graduation, saying how hurt and excluded she felt by this policy. Since we are getting married this year and the card is coming out the year we are getting married. I've tried to explain that this isn't our card. This isn't our right to tell others who can and can't be on their card, and we could always have our own card to start our own tradition. She made several comments around how surprised she is that I haven't stood up for her to my mother, even telling me that she's discussed the issue with others, and they also are surprised that I wouldn't take a stand with my mother on this. She also made a point multiple times to say, "Good, less time to spend in photos with them at the wedding," implying a tit-for-tat response to this policy. I don't really know what to do. Am I the a-hole? Your mother is very wise. Your fiancé is a bit of a main character, isn't she? Wow, and she's already planning retaliation at your wedding? Dude, you may seriously want to rethink things here. These are red flags, and her behaving like an entitled child is going to cause some serious friction now and later. You are not a-hole, but your fiancé definitely is and needs serious help. Edited to Ed, read some of your other posts. OP, you need to run. So many red flags. Just run. To those of you defending the fiancé, check OP's post history. It explains the general reaction, "Oh my god, no, don't do it." Mom's rule may be a bit prescient. Exclude fiancé, fiancé gets pissy, son sees fiancé is pissy, wedding is called off, fiancé never becomes family, rule vindicated. Mom's rule is in fact a test. Honestly, this is the easiest mom test I've ever heard of. If this woman can't suck it up about being included on someone else's Christmas card for a year or two, God help the man who marries her. I get the rule when someone is dating, but if you're engaged, it does feel a little harsh. My family isn't exactly super open with other people in our photos either, but I think this is pretty rude. So soft, you're the a-hole. Meh, some people use the word engaged pretty loosely. Sometimes it's an excuse to live together without setting a date. I get that OP has firm plans for the end of the year, but plans change. Married is an arbitrary line, but at least it is easy to determine. OP is correct that is not his Christmas card and not his rule. He could have not gone to the graduation this year, and in that way avoided a photo perhaps, but then is dissing to graduate for no good reason, as she did. You are not a-hole. I get why your mom put this rule in place years ago. The last picture of my kids with my great-grandmother has my brother's ex-girlfriend in it, and they were about to get engaged. Your mom didn't make this rule new for your fiancé, so I don't know why she would be so upset by it. Is she being excluded in other ways? Last story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister use the family property for her upcoming wedding? I'm 25, my sister is 29. I also have a younger sister, 8. When I was 14, my mom sent me to live with her parents. Her excuse was that they needed me to help out. I believe she just didn't want to deal with a growing male teen. My grandparents own an amazing property in the mountains that has an amazing view. We also have some horses and other critters. They were also quite wealthy as well. They both passed 4 years ago, a month apart. They gave me the property because I would appreciate and respect it more, while my mom and sisters got money and other assets which was overall valued more than the property. In the past 4 years, I turned part of the property into a venue for mainly weddings. Grandparents knew of this idea and thought it was a good one. We are busy and usually booked about 8 months out. My sister got engaged 1.5 years ago and said she wants to get married at a property. I said sure, just let me know the date as soon as possible so I can make sure it is booked. I never got a date. I followed up several times and kept asking her and she would just brush me off. Then 2 weeks ago, I got the wedding invitation, stating the property is the location and the date, which is in September of this year. I immediately called her to say that we are booked for that date and can't accommodate her. Well, now her, my mom, other family, her partner's family, as well as other flying monkeys, have been blowing up on me. They're also calling and writing reviews for my business. I asked them to stop and called my sister, telling her that literally all she had to do was tell me when she knew her date so I could block it, and I would take care of everything else. But she went off on how I am ruining her day, that it's our family's property, how she already sent out the invitations and couldn't go back now, that I should just tell the other couple to cancel because family's more important. The couple have been on the books for over a year now, and I actually like them. After the last big blow up, I started communicating strictly through the business, using our recorded line as well as email. I suggested 3 other dates around the same time, but that's not good enough. They just say I'm being resentful and an a-hole. Not the a-hole, but your sister's a giant a-hole for expecting you to cancel another couple's date for, what, selfish family? She just needed to tell you the date and didn't. That's on her. Who the heck sends out invitations for a date before even contacting the venue? Not a-hole. I was all ready to read a story about OP saying no or fighting a family versus individual ownership and some personal drama. But there's none of that. It is really as simple as sending an invite for a date without even asking the venue. I just don't understand how people can be so consumed in their own weddings. So thankful my wife was not like this. It reminds me of the people who just decided to have a wedding at a mansion without telling the owners, sent invites, and showed up on the day claiming they had a right because they prayed for it or something. Wacky. Not a-hole. I would suggest getting a lawyer involved before your family causes harm to your business. Send them all cease and desist letters. This is your property and business. Do not allow them to discredit it just because they are not getting their way. I'd also put a PSA out that our wedding will not be at your venue. That way, a bunch of people don't show up and ruin this other lovely couple's wedding by causing a scene. One thing I have learned is you never mix family and business. Family will never respect your business because they feel entitled to it. So it's best to not only offer family a small discount, but still make them go through all the proper channels, or they don't get whatever service you provide.